Yo, what's up, dogs? I'm here to talk about Argylle. Now, I did go and see this movie on opening weekend. I went on a Friday at 6:45 p.m. I got my ticket online. I picked up an IMAX one because that's the only way I could see it. And when I got it online, there was honestly, at that point in time, like 8 tickets sold. And I was kind of surprised, to be honest, for a 6:45 showing for a brand new movie like this. And honestly, if you've seen my other video of my wallet's most anticipated movies, this is a movie that I was actually looking forward to watching. Something that I was like, I'm going to spend money to enjoy this movie. And I thought other people might have been in the same boat as me. But when I got to the theater with my tea in hand, maybe 15 people at total showed up there. And I was kind of just like looking at the crowd going, oh, this isn't going to do good. And yeah, as you know, the box office wasn't that good for it. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, let's get into this movie. I got my notes. And as you can see, the notes have been upgraded. I have now used my printer to print out my notes because I was getting tired of reading my notes and my handwriting, and my handwriting's horrible. My own handwriting is hard for me to read sometimes. So I thought, let's use technology and make the list look cleaner and better. So here we go. Here is the spoiler warning. I'm going to talk about the story, and just so you know from this point on, spoilers ahead, okay? So here we go. The story is all about a character named Ellie Conway, who's played by Bryce Dallas Howard, and she is a novelist, and she's created a hit series of books, spy books, that are called Argylle. And she's really well known. She's beloved by many. Her books make millions. She's a really well known author. And she's currently writing the 6th book in her franchise. Or is it the 5th book? I can't remember. But she's writing the next hit in the franchise of Argylle, right? But unbeknownst to her, the people in the actual spy community, which we don't know if the spy community exists, right? But the real people in the spy community are actively after her because her books have somehow been able to predict actual real world spy events before or as they have happened. And now that she is known to be writing her 6th book, the spies, the evil organization of spies, that to be correct, they're called the Division, are after her because they believe that she will know where the MacGuffin is, which is called the Master Key, before the good spies, which I think are like the CIA, can get to it before them, right? So it's this whole thing of we're going to steal this, kidnap this woman who has this ability to see events, right? But we learn how and why she's able to know this information. She's not clairvoyant. She's not a psychic. She's just a normal, frumpy novelist who's an introvert who just lives her life writing these books. However, the story as it unfolds is a lot of twists and turns of unbelievability and chaos is probably the best way to look at it. And yeah, that's really it. That's the gist of the story. And honestly, when you watch this movie, you'll be reminded of a lot of other movies that you may have seen in your life. The movie that this really came to mind for me is The Long Kiss Goodnight. I love that movie. It's a guilty pleasure. It's not the best movie ever made or anything like that, but it's a perfect rainy day film. And yeah, it holds a dear spot in my heart. And just a lot of elements in this film reminding me of that film. But let's get into the good. But I have to... The good and the bad kind of go hand in hand. I also have the silly, but I might kind of go off it's good, but also this because it's also bad, okay? But we'll see how it goes here. Trust me. Trust the process. This movie's all over the place for me, okay? I just got to be perfectly honest with you. This movie is 1000% just mid to okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not the greatest film I've ever watched. I've watched a lot better. The Long Kiss Goodnight being one of them. So anyways, let's get into the good. First thing first, about the thing that I did genuinely like about this movie is I actually liked the concept and slash story of this character, okay? I liked Bryce Dallas Howard to playing this Ellie Conway. I always want to say Conroy or Convoy. Don't know why. It just seems more natural to say it than Conway. Maybe there's a character out there that I'm thinking of. My brain's like, no, it's Conroy. But anyways, Conway. I like her. I like this idea of this character who's a novelist, who's like, you know, frumpy. She's an introvert. She just sticks to herself. She's a cat lady. But then as the secrets unfold, you find out that she's a spy with amnesia. And I like that. I actually thought that was really cool. And the way she writes her stories is the amnesia is like bleeding through her words, right? Of her real life events that she herself as a secret spy agent actually partake in. That's right. That's the right word. Yes. Partook. Partook. Wait, is that the right word? I don't know. But I liked it. I like that whole little package. And then I'm going to save it for the bad. But I like that whole little package. I was on board with the character. I was on board with the story. I was on board with the twist. And I was like, yeah, I'm invested. I was invested. And there's a point in this movie where I get uninvested. And to be honest, we'll get there. So the next thing I liked in this movie, I really liked Sam Rockwell, who plays a character named Aiden Wilde. And he is the spy / lover of Convoy, Ellie, who is actually, okay, her real name is like R. Kelly. Yeah, is it R. Kelly? Yeah, because Rachel Kelly, which is on her badge, is R. Kelly, which kind of pronounces Argylle. That's how she gets to that name. I believe that's how it worked out. Did I write that down? I don't think I did. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I like Sam Rockwell. I always enjoy watching him. He's a delight. He's hilarious. I just like seeing him in films in general. And in this movie, it looks like he's just having a lot of fun. And there is legit chemistry between Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought they were good together. I'd actually watch them in a rom-com of sorts. That could be fun. Maybe throw a rom-com together. Just get it out there on Netflix or Prime or something like that. I would probably be interested in that because these two genuinely had some good chemistry together. And I enjoyed watching them on film. Henry Cavill, I loved it. He's great. He's in the movie for like 5 or 6, maybe 10 minutes at the most. I don't know, but I liked seeing him. I'm a fan. Yeah, he's good. That's all I got to say. Like the sequences that he's in are good, and his action sequences are good as well. Him as Argylle is good. I liked it. I really wish we got more of him. But what we did get of him, I thought was cool. But I kind of felt like as I was watching this movie, I cared less about Ellie Conroy, and I wanted more of actual Argylle. You know what I'm saying? That's what sold me on the movie in the first place. When you watch the trailer, I was sold on Henry as Argylle and seeing this character being brought to life through this novelization. That's kind of what I thought we were going to get. And we get it, but we also don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I wish we just had more of it. So the next thing I liked in this movie is the action sequences. There's a lot of action in this movie. Some of them are really well done. There is the train sequence at the beginning, the one that you see in the trailer of them fighting. I really liked it. I liked the transitions from Sam Rockwell's character, Aiden, to Argylle. It was neat and interesting editing because the concept of Argylle in Ellie's brain is when she's in duress and distress, she sees Argylle instead of Aiden, and that's kind of like her coping / safety mechanism. Like it just helps her be in the moment, and like it's kind of, they explained it a little bit in the movie of why she sees Argylle every now and then, and it's just her coping mechanism. And it's cool how they did it, and I liked how it looked. And there is some genuinely good laughs in those switching transactions. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought that was cool. And there's a lot of action in this movie, like I said. And just almost sometimes you're almost sitting there going, "This is too much, too much action." My brain needs a second to calm down and just take in what we got. You know what I'm saying? And I'll get into the bad on that one. The next thing I liked in this movie, I did genuinely have belly laughs watching this film. Not from the point of view of like, oh, this is so bad, it's funny. But there's actually good laughs in this movie. The people in my audience actually laughed as well. So I think we genuinely had a good time on the hilarious factor. Like what comedy bits are in there are working. Some of the practical comedies there, the physical comedy there's good stuff there. Sam Rockwell always delivers on the comedy, and just his way and his delivery always works for me. So that comedy on top of the action just really tied it together, and it made the film a little bit more enjoyable. But there are times when some jokes don't land. I did not mind the twists and turns in this movie, but I did actually like the first reveal of when we learn about how she has amnesia and she used to be a spy, and that her parents, Ruth, who is played by Catherine O'Hara, and her father, Ritter, who's played by Bryan Cranston, are actually not her real parents, and they are the Bryan Cranston is the director of the division. He's the leader, and his henchman is O'Hara's character, who's Ruth, right? And she's like a scientist, and she hypnotized Ellie, right? The whole thing was crazy, convoluted, but I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is so G.I. Joe. Like, I just enjoyed it. But I really liked it. I was like, oh man, I've seen this in cartoons, you know? There's things in this movie that you'll legit be like, I've seen this in a cartoon as well, and I enjoyed it. The kid in me enjoyed a lot of certain things in this movie, okay? All right. The soundtrack in this movie is good as well. There's a lot of good hype bangers in here. And the end credits scene got me excited more for Kingsman than anything else, honestly. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Give me some Kingsman stuff. And honestly, the people in my crowd were like hyped as well. Like there was an audible like, oh, Kingsman. Like there's something still about Kingsman and the franchise that there's still meat on the bone for that franchise that I don't know if they realize that people want more Kingsman, because my audience was definitely engaged when the Kingsman stuff showed up. They were just like, oh, it's Kingsman. So maybe you should revisit Kingsman. I don't know. Now, let's get into the bad here, okay? And I don't want to linger, because with the good, like I said, it also has the bad side of things. There's a lot of, it's this, but, okay? So let's start off here. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes too long, okay? If we could have got this down to a tight 145, I would have been happy. I would have been like, yep, that was a delicious little morsel. Let's get out of here. But I felt like this movie was too long. It took too many twists and turns. It overstayed its welcome. And I was done. I was checked out multiple times in this film because I just wanted it to end. And that is a bad. This movie also takes a little too long to get cooking. And I mean, like, with the action and the movie starts to pick up the pace a little bit. I was kind of just sitting there going, when's the movie start? Because we get a little bit of just like introduction of Ellie and things like that in her world, and you're kind of just like, I'm bored. But then once like the Henry Cavill scene that we see, or Cavill, which is all in the trailer. Like everything in the trailers, like the first little bit of the movie, and I'm like seeing it, and I think that's probably why I'm also like a little checked out at the beginning of the movie, because I've seen this trailer so many times, and you've seen that introduction to this movie, which is literally like the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie, you've seen it in the trailer, so you're kind of checked out going, I've seen this 1,000 times already, so when's the real movie start? And the real movie really starts at the train sequence, which is also in the trailer, but once that train hits, it's like, okay, now the pedal to the metal, let's go, you know what I'm saying? The next bad is not enough Henry, and also not enough John Cena. I'm a John Cena fan. John Cena is a hilarious comedic action actor, and I wanted to see more of him and more of what he brings to the table. Not enough John Cena, not enough Henry. I felt like I got catfished watching this movie because of that dang trailer. The next thing that I don't like is the CGI in this film. At times, this is some of the worst CGI that I've seen in a while. I feel like I've seen better CGI in like 2015. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, just some of the green screen effects in this movie, and it also impacts the action sequences where the CGI is so bad and muddy that it kind of takes you out of the action. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a sequence in this movie where there's an ice skating scene where she puts on like, can't even remember, like she puts daggers on as ice skates or something weird and skates on a puddle of oil. It's so weird, okay? And weird is good at times, but the CGI in it made it so muddy and gross that you're kind of bored and you're like, no thanks, I'm checked out. Like, reality is seeping in. Once you start questioning things, you're going, well, I can't enjoy this. I can't enjoy this because the fakeness is too rough and gross. And this also happens in a really beautiful looking hallway scene where they have all this nice colorful smoke going on. But again, the CGI in this combat is muddied and you don't really get to see how everything looks in the action sequence. And so you kind of check out. It just happens in this movie. And it's not just in those sequences. There's other scenes in this movie too where where the CGI is just like, oh God, what's going on here? Like the cat CGI alone on Elfie/Chip is not that good. I've seen better CGI for cats. We should be doing better. It's 2024. So the last thing that I didn't like, and this is unfortunate because I was digging Bryce Dallas Howard, right? I really liked her as this spy, and I liked her as the novelist, and I like this concept of her being like this secret spy and all that stuff. But when she goes into her actual persona, her real spirit of Rachel Kyle, you kind of don't believe it. You know, I didn't find her believable at all as a super spy. And the last thing that I didn't like about this film is unfortunate because I was on board with Bryce Dallas Howard as this character who's a novelist with amnesia and she's a spy. I liked all of that. That was cool. And unfortunately, when she becomes back to her normal persona, her real spirit is back in her. She is Rachel Kyle. I didn't find her believable as this super spy where she's jumping, kicking a lot of butt. For some reason, I think maybe it's just because I was so invested and on board with this like frumpy character that she's having fun. Like she's an enjoyable character to follow along. And when she becomes this super soldier, I didn't care for it. I was like, nah, I don't believe this at all. And at times I was kind of like, did we have to do this? Like, couldn't she have been some kind of like super secret agent that worked for like the Keeper of Secrets? There's a character in this movie, Sofia Boutella plays Saba al-Badir, who is the Keeper of Secrets. Now, it would have been cool if Ellie Conway was the Keeper of Secrets, and she has the amnesia, and that's why everyone's after her, but that's how she can also write her books. I thought that would have been a little bit cooler of a character, because she doesn't have to be this badass, but she can be a very influential person that has money that can have badasses around her to protect her, and that could be all part of this movie as well. However, we didn't get that. We get this super agent at the end, and she just doesn't look the part. And I'm probably blaming it on the character arc that we followed this whole time. And also, at the end, they don't dress her nicely. I don't think the outfit that they put her in was flattering at all. At times I thought it was kind of just like, why are you in this outfit? Shouldn't you be in something better fit? And that's not a knock against her, right? Like full figure women are beautiful anyways, and it's the way that they presented her with this ugly blonde wig, these over the top eyeshadow, and like this gold sparkling dress that just looked ill-fitted for her and for her body type, where I'm like, this is taking me out of it too, where I'm like questioning the design here, the outfit. I'm like, why is she dressed like this in a combat situation? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why couldn't she have like some cool like get up, like a spy get up on that looked cool with guns and patches and bags and bomb stuff? Like, make her look cool. She doesn't have to wear this dress. Just look dumb. Anyways, that is it for the bad. Now let's get on to the silly. And it's only one silly thing, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's more of the concept of this movie taking place inside the world of the Kingsman. Now, I like the Kingsman. I'm a big fan of that franchise. I've enjoyed all three of the movies. And seeing that Argylle somehow fits into this didn't really kind of make sense to me. Because I looked at the character Rachel Kyle and / Ellie Conway and Aiden Wilde as this, they're Americans, right? So in the world of Kingsman, wouldn't they be working for the Statesman at that point in time, which is the American branch of the Kingsman, and not this weird CIA organization? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I was sitting there thinking about. I'm like, well, why didn't we, if we're really tying this into the Kingsman universe, then why didn't we have them all part of the actual Kingsman concept? Unless they were like sitting there going, well, let's surprise them at the end and be like, oh, this is a part of the Kingsman. Because they just wanted to. I don't know. It just felt so silly to me and almost pointless. Like Argylle could just be its own thing, its own special thing. You don't have to tie this into the Kingsman universe just for the sake of doing it. Just give me Kingsman content and just give me Argylle content. And hey, whichever wins, wins. That gets my money, you know what I'm saying? So that's the end of my review right there. Now the question is, should you go and see this movie? I would say no. I would think you should just wait until it comes out on streaming or digital, digital release, buy it there and watch it when it comes home. Unfortunately, like if you're really curious, yeah, obviously go see it on the cheap night, obviously. Get ready for a 2 hour and 30-minute movie, you know what I'm saying? But I think you're cool to stay at home and watch it. And it might be a more enjoyable experience in the comfort of your own home, right? Will I ever own this movie inside my collection? Maybe. I don't know. I don't feel like I need to ever really watch it again. And unlike the Kingsman, where I've watched the Kingsman multiple times, So there is that. Maybe it'll show up in my collection inside a marketplace bundle one day, But definitely not a day one release for myself. And on that note, the next movie that I'm going to review will be Lisa Frankenstein. And for everyone at home, whatever movie you guys are watching, I hope you're loving them and digging them. I'm out of here. Peace.